without further ado, a very warm welcome to the Police Minister, Mark Mitchell. Minister, thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning, Sean, no problem.
All right, look, we have had, after a personal experience I had, but in general some other stories, probably more important than mine, kicking around, about, and let's say, the perception of the attitude of our police force to protecting citizens. Would you, firstly, in the broadest of terms, agree that there is a perception problem that the police are not doing their job properly?
Look, I think, you're probably referring to the protests that we've seen sort of around.
A protest? I'm referring to a guy getting beaten up in a gas station and the cops not coming. Right. I'm referring to any number of incidents where it appears to the general public that the rights of the stirrers and the criminals and the protesters are put ahead of the rights of the common law-abiding citizen.
Well, I guess what I'd say is, as the incoming minister, I've been really clear, and I've stated this several times in public. The message clearly has been that my expectation is that the rights of law-abiding citizens are protected above and beyond the rights of those that choose to break the law. So that's number one. Number two, look, our police do an outstanding job. The problem is that they have had an enormous amount of additional work laid on them, with a 60% increase in mental health call-outs, a huge increase in family harm incidents. Police will always have a role to play in violent domestic situations, but family harm is such a broad category, and there's actually, there's incidents that there's no clear criminal offending that actually other agencies would be better to step in and handle. And obviously the same with mental health, is that having police officers sat in knee-deep for an entire shift looking after a young person that's got thoughts of, harmful thoughts, they need a proper professional mental health expert to support and help.
I'm going to come back to my original question, Minister, because it's a very important one.
Yep.
Do you agree that at present the perception of the way police are carrying out their duties in regards to protecting law-abiding citizens, there is a negative perception? Law-abiding citizens feel that they are not getting the service and protection they deserve, or indeed are entitled to, from our police force.
Look, firstly, in relation to our police force, I'll get to this to your question, but firstly I just want to state that we have a world-class police force that is without a doubt doing the best that it can. Our police officers join the police because they want to protect and serve the communities that they live in. Can you answer
the question? People don't think that, though, do they, Minister?
But without a doubt, and I accept and I acknowledge that certainly within some people within the community, that perception is there. And I understand why they feel like that, because when they put their hand up for help, and
it's
they want
not there.
To be there, then, well, and like I said to you, the police are in this awful situation where they're having to prioritise, and they have got an enormous amount coming at them, and they're doing the work of probably 4 agencies.
So none of this is the fault of the police or the police commissioner?
Oh, look, any government organisation, agency should be looking for constant improvement, and that's what the police...
are you totally satisfied that none of the perception problems that you've admitted to this morning have got anything to do with the way the police are led and the way they do their job?
Well, I won't be satisfied until we start to see a reduction.
Didn't ask you if you were satisfied or not. Are you telling me that there's nothing the police can do better, and that since you've taken over as Minister, you haven't asked for any change in emphasis or attitude from police leadership?
Oh, no, I've definitely asked for change in emphasis, and I released my letter of expectation to the Commissioner.
Is he fulfilling the expectations in that letter?
Well, I think you would have seen the announcement around the new gang disruption units. I think that...
yes, I have. It wasn't my question. Do you think the Minister is... the Commissioner is doing what you asked him? Do you have confidence in him?
Yes, I think that they... Absolutely. I think that they are responding. I think the Commissioner is responding. I think that... But I do want to come back to your question about, do some people in the community feel like they're not getting the response that they want from police. I accept that, absolutely. I've been in 3 public meetings in the last week where those issues have been raised with me. I'm not deaf to that. I'm very sensitive to it, and I'm moving as quickly as I can as the Minister to get the police orientated onto dealing with serious retail crime and also the gangs who inflicted a massive disproportionate amount of harm on us as a country. The police are responding to that, Sean, but it does take time, and at the same time, they're trying to deal with all this additional work that actually other government agencies would be better placed to deal with.
Okay. Well, one thing that is their job is to control and monitor protests. And they seem to be, oh my God, it's like it's a profession. We've got a professional protesting class. You've got to have purple or blue or green hair, and you've got to wave a Palestinian flag or a trans rights flag. These people are now protesting regularly at places like the Bridge of Remembrance in Christchurch or down Queen Street. We've got a bunch of morons at University of Canterbury overnight. And I confronted some of these people, the Palestine mob, outside on the terrace last week.
Yep.
In a situation where I was surrounded literally by a baying mob who were inches from my face, screaming abuse at me, personal abuse at me, and I got told I was the person making it difficult for the police to do their job and move on. And it is just a personal example of, I think, what many New Zealanders are experiencing. Why did the police move me on and not deal with the law-breaking protesters?
Look, I think those situations are very difficult for our frontline, constables on the street to deal with. I think that, that we've got to balance the right to freedom of speech and peaceful protest against the rights of, and I agree with you, the rights of a law-abiding citizen like yourself just trying to pass peacefully, along the road. But the reality of it is that is a balancing act for them. They have to operate within the current laws. I don't know whether the current laws are fit for purpose in terms of...
Are they telling you they're not? Are they telling you their hands are tied and that it's difficult?
Well, I think they have. Of course, our police operate within the existing legislation. So the one thing that I have asked the police to do is give me a sort of an update and some advice on whether the current legislation is sufficient and is... gives them the practical powers that they need to protect the rights of law-abiding citizens as they go about their daily lives. But the reality is this, Sean, is that we do have to protect the right to freedom of speech. We do have to protect the right to...
This was past the line of freedom of speech. I was being abused in a street. I was doing nothing wrong. I was surrounded by a mob of people who were acting aggressively towards me. If there'd been Liz Gunn, they all would have been arrested for assault, I'm sure.
Well, I do agree with you that I don't think that members of the public should be exposed to and have to endure threats, and insults being thrown at them. I think that public figures probably has to have a little bit higher threshold around that, but certainly members of the public shouldn't be exposed to that sort of behaviour.